الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد، يحيي ويميت وبيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على حبيبنا ورسولنا وقائدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters, these moments, these days, our lives, this location where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set us in this life, where He chose for us that we could have an impact on our surroundings, that we could take the mercy and the rahmah that He has put in our lives and transform the communities around us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us through our Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells us, that the believers are like rain. They're like rain. Wherever they go, they spread goodness. Right? Wherever rain hits, it gives growth, it gives vegetation, it gives drink, so many forms. And this is you. You are this rain. But it doesn't stop there. Right? We all fall into this position or this mentality or these thoughts, right, that we're juggling in our mind. You know, why am I in this country? Why did I want to be in this country? Why did I pursue this? Or why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put me here? You know, look at this country. Corruption, recession, drone strikes, backing of Israel, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, right? We want to think down of this country. Right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us again through our Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where He tells us everything is like water. Everything is like rain. Rain brings nourishment to the soil. The water brings nourishment to your body. It allows you to survive. But at the same time, water brings storms. Water brings tsunamis. Water consumes whole countries. Right? So we see here that everything has a pro and everything has a con. Everything has goodness and everything has evil at the same time. But what the Muslim does is he maximizes the goodness and minimizes the harm. And this is something that can be applied to anything, any circumstance, any time. It's called, in secular knowledge, it's called utilitarianism. And this is something that Rasulullah practiced throughout the seerah. Maximize goodness, minimize harm. And so we see here, so many people, when they talk about how do we fix things, right? How do we make things better? How do we better our community? How do we make Islam flourish? How do we stop crime? How do we stop suicide, adultery? How do we stop these things? How do we stop ISIS? How do we stop Daesh? How do we stop Bashar al-Assad? Right? Al-Qaeda. How do we stop America? How do we do it? How do we find the answers? And many want to say, we need a revolution. Many say we need a Khalifa. Many say we need Sharia law. We need to put in Sharia law. This is the answer. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us in Surah Yusuf, when Yusuf alayhi salam wants to take back his youngest brother from the rest of his brothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, ما كان ليأخذ أخاه إلا في دين الملك. And so we find here that Yusuf alayhi salam took back his brother through the deen of the Malik, through the system, through the government. He didn't need a revolution, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala paved the way that he could do it through the system that he lived in, through the authority that he lived in. We live in a country where money talks, and that has its negatives, but that also has its positives. That means that if we integrate it into our communities, and we simply have more money than the other, we can establish what we want. Furthermore, we live in a country that has laws, that has justice to some extent. No one can walk in your house and just rob you. You can go after them. And there's a platform in place that you can go after them, and that they may be caught and you will be compensated. I'm sure many of you lived in countries before that had much worse justice systems. But that's not the point of this. The point here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we keep going in the ayah, He says, نَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٍ مَنْ نَشَاءُ. We raise in levels, in status, in positions, whoever we want. So we, as individuals, as communities, are we thinking about being these individuals, taking these positions in our government and in our society, engaging in this manner? Are we thinking about raising the next teen or the next child who will eventually look to take positions in their community? And the other thing is, are we trying to identify who in our community is capable of these positions? A lot of times when people mention shaitan, they mention that Iblis didn't bow down. Right? They mention that Iblis didn't bow down. And that this signifies that we need to bow down to God. And this is true. But Iblis, in his lifetime, bowed down to God. And he did it many times. But what he failed to do was bow down to a human, to Adam alayhi salam. And so we see here, there's many people in our community who are trying to do good. And then the Muslims want to oppose them and make their own pursuits and make their own organizations and do this and do that. They don't know how to work together. They stay divided. Ego divides them. Waswasa from shaitan divides them. Yes, they're both doing good, but they still didn't get the point. Sometimes we have to learn to follow and know when to lead. And see that when we follow, we are taking the lead. So try to identify the organizations that are already in your community, the people that are already in your community, and rally around them. Learn to support. Shaitan was jealous of Adam. He wanted the power. He wanted to be Khalifa. And he couldn't do it. Right? And out of his arrogance and out of his jealousy, he destroyed himself. He destroyed his own life. And so this is what we find here. That we as individuals, we need to take the opportunity that we have in this country and be like the rain and allow ourselves to accumulate in this manner. And then go for positions. We need entrepreneurs, people to fund these organizations, to fund our masajid, to fund teaching. These basic charities that we fail. This morning I was freezing. I didn't wear gloves. My hands were completely frozen. I was walking to school. And I said, SubhanAllah, what's going on in Syria? Children freezing. Right? And we're sitting here saying, this is my job, alhamdulillah, I did it. This is my family, alhamdulillah, they're fed. But it's not enough. And it's the same thing in this country. You know, 1%, if not more, of the people in this country consume most of the money and most of the wealth. When does that anger you? But not anger in a negative manner. Anger that pushes you into action. But not violent action. Graceful action. Wise action. Where every step is calculated. And this is where Malcolm X comes into our lives. When we look at Malcolm X and we look at the Nation of Islam, what they did was they first empowered the African American community that needed empowerment. And then after that, they slowly and gradually brought Islam into their communities. And then after that, many converted to Sunni Islam. But we see first that Islam in America started with justice. It started with empowerment. And it's the same way. We need to come to a point where we say we need a gradual motion. We need to take these small steps. Because all the problems that we talk about, you know, to the youth problems, to marriage crisis, to Islamophobia, to terrorism, to suicide, to drugs and alcoholism, all these problems, they're all intertwined. They're all symptoms and products of one problem. And it all comes down to the rahmah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in your heart. Take that rahmah, hone it through your salah, through your dua, through your striving, through your charity. Work to increase the rahmah inside of you. And then take it and let it touch others. Let it lighten others' path. And when I say this, I don't joke and I don't stutter. We need to smile more than we've ever smiled. We need to laugh. I'm not joking. We need to laugh more than we've ever laughed. We need to show this society the lightness of our step. The lightness and the peace that's brought to our lives through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to show them the liberation. Liberation over death. The ability to cope. Liberation over depression and despair. Liberation over enslavement and the beauty of submission. This is what we're finding here. These people in our society, in ourselves, they need us more than ever. But the media makes us the enemy. And making these connections, human connections with other people, is exactly what we need. And I was told that last week a brother got into a fight at a local gas station right here as he was parking for Jummah prayer. And the police were called and etc. and so forth. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? We're coming here to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So why come close? Or why do you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bring you closer? When you're parking illegally and you're causing fights and police and arguing. None of these things have anything to do with coming close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to take our lives seriously. But inside of this serious life, have the wisdom and the courage to smile. That's exactly what I'm saying here. We have to be serious about this peacefulness, about this lightness. And this is how we get people to know us and to love us and to become part of this society and to ensure that our daughters, when they wear hijab, are safe. right? And that we practice this religion and no one bothers us. And that's because this country is a beautiful country. However you want to take it. Everything has good and bad, just as you have good and bad inside of you. And similarly, every country and every ruler has good and bad. Maximize the good, minimize the harm, and stop living in denial. That, oh, if only we had this, if only we had Sharia law, if only we had the Islamic State, if only we had this and that, and if only homosexuality was gone, and if only all of these things were just gone. We need to move on. This society is what it is. We need to try our best to make the most of it. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. You know, these truly are, and I can never stop emphasizing it enough. These truly are amazing times. And each and every one of us have the opportunity to cement our position with our Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Jannatul Firdaus. This is the moment. These are the times. Right? This fitna, we call it fitna because it purifies. It transforms. You can either allow these times to transform you into the greatest individual that you can be, and that you earn the reward by the best of your deeds. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِيَجْزِيَهُمُ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنَ مَا عَمِلُوا. You're in this time, in this moment, because Allah wants to reward you with the best of your deeds. And you can either take the opportunity, or you can allow someone else to take it. And don't think, just because you're not the leader, just because you're not the face, that you're not just as important. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Al-akhfiya'u min al-jannah." The people behind the scenes, working hard, the ones you don't see, are from Jannah. So it's not about always taking the lead, but it's about taking the first step and coming together with other people who have good intentions and want to work hard to see a better humanity, a better world. And so let's take from the resources that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in this beautiful country and strive. And don't strive until death touches our throat and we move to the meeting of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance and to increase us in knowledge and understanding. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya Arhamar Rahimeen, increase the mercy and the rahmah in our hearts and allow us to be merciful people. Ya Allah, make us people of good relations and fruitful relations and the best of words and the best of speech. Ya Allah, lighten our hearts and illuminate our internal being. Make us people who are not materialistic, but people who are spiritual, wise, and understanding. Allow us to understand our people and understand our audience and understand our society that we can strive. Allah, we ask of you by your 99 names that you put us in positions to impact our society. Put us in positions to be close to you and to be close to your Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Jannat al-Firdaus. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask you for Jannat al-Firdaus. We ask that our parents and our grandparents and our ancestors and our children and our communities join us all in Jannat al-Firdaus. Reunite us with our loved ones, heal the suffering, heal the pain, and allow those who need your relief to get your relief. Ya Allah, we stand in front of you in need. We are in need of you, so we ask you to strengthen us and to strengthen our pursuits. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. أقم الصلاة.